said to ring you up when I was in Toronto.
Toronto. VK on the beat. Check. I'm in Toronto where you wanna get a city love. I'm from Toronto where you wanna get a city love. I'm in Toronto like we wanna get a city love. My city love me back for my city love.
Welcome to episode 1554 of Toronto Mic'd, proudly brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery, a fiercely independent craft brewery who believes in supporting communities, good times, and brewing amazing beer. Order online for free local home delivery in the GTA. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. The Advantaged Investor Podcast from Raymond James Canada. Learn how to plan, invest, and live smarter. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past. And Ridley Funeral Home. Pillars of the community since 1921. Today, making their Toronto Mic'd debut are Mr. Zero and Dave Diamond from the Kings. Dave, Mr. Zero, if that is your real name, welcome to Toronto Mic'd, guys.
I'm happy to be here.
Nice
Thank you.
to be here, yes.
I'm going to jog Mr. Zero's memory off the top here, okay? We're going back. Shout out to Canada Kev. He was with me, actually. We were in Oakville, and I'm there to see my dear friend Rob Pruce.
Yep.
So I'm there. And then in the corner of my eye, true story, in the corner of my eye, I see, no, not Mr. Zero, I see Sandy Horn, okay, who's been on the show, but she zoomed in because anything to get Sandy on the show. I had like many guys my age, I had a massive crush on Sandy Horn. Okay. I go over to take a selfie with Sandy. I take this selfie with Sandy Horn, my crush. I get home and I look at the photo I have with my crush, Sandy Horn. Guess who's photobombing that photo? Guess who's smiling right between our heads? Who photobombed us? Dave, want to guess who it was?
Oh, I think I have a good idea, Zero.
Yeah.
So we've met before, Mr. Zero. We met at that concert in the Moonshine Cafe. What's that place called?
Yeah, the Moonshine. Yeah, it's I live in Oakville, so that's my local hang. And unfortunately, they are closing down at the end of November. They're trying to find a new place.
The chap who ran the place passed away, right?
He did, yeah, last a year ago, summer.
John Marlatt.
Yeah, John Marlatt, a great friend and a really wonderful guy. And I played golf with him a lot. And, it's funny, he would... He gave a little speech one time, and he said, Zero is... He says he always tells me to turn down the radio in the car when we're going to play golf, except when his song comes on.
And that song, we got the cold open. I'm thinking you guys are coming to Toronto, New Toronto to be specific. Now, how comfortable are you two gents with this ugly label some assholes are using, including me, calling you one-hit wonders? I have new material, great new material from you I'm going to play on this program. But if people say, oh, the Kings... I love them, and then they name the one song, and then someone says, okay, go quickly, name another song. A lot of people struggle. They call you one-hit wonders. How do you guys feel? Let's hear the real talk.
Well, we called ourselves that before anybody else did. And that's why we named our documentary Anatomy of a One-Hit Wonder, because, hey, look at... It's better to be a one-hit wonder than a no-hit nothing.
That's right.
Ask me how many hits I have. Go ahead, because the answer is Mr. Zero.
Yeah.
Well, we've had people say, too, but those guys have made a career out of one song.
Well,
which is not true, but it's sort of true, because it is a segue. There's two songs. So we're a two-hit wonder.
Right.
You know what? Great. I think about that with the Queen. Is it We Are the Champions and what are
We Will Rock You.
We Will Rock You. That are kind of like, you never hear them, like when I listen to the Q107 or whatever and they play, they're stitched together. So again, maybe before we get into this song that we're talking about, and then we will get to the new stuff, I'm kind of interested in the origin story. And most importantly, I consider you guys an Oakville band. You're an Oakville band, right?
Yeah.
Well, we would say so. three of us went to the same high school, and our keyboard player Sonny was from Victoria. So I met him out there, and then we started working on stuff. And I said, I know these two other guys back in Oakville, because we were thinking of what could we do for getting a band together. I said, I know a great singer and a great drummer. So that's what we did, and brought Dave and Max into what we were doing. And then it turned out to be a whole other thing when they got involved. And it was just an awesome thing to happen.
We all sort of knew each other from the Oakville, the early days of us playing in different bands. We never really played in the same band, but there were so many venues, so many little after high school gigs and sock hop type of places. Not like not with any heavy drinks or anything, but because everybody was too young.
So as I collect the origin story here, so Mr. Zero, you're in British Columbia, hanging out with Victoria native Sonny Keys.
Yep.
Also not his real name. Okay, there's no way that guy's name is Sonny Keys. Okay, let me see that birth certificate. I feel like a birther here. But Sonny Keys, believe it or not, plays keyboards. Okay, shout out to Rob Bruce again. So you guys are in BC, and then you guys come back. Well, it's your home, Mr. Zero, Oakville. And what already you got David Diamonds doing stuff in other bands. Where does Max Styles come into play?
Well, I mean, the high school was so full of bands, right? Every high school at that time, there was many bands forming, and I used to go see these guys playing all over town, and saw Dave play and saw Max play in different bands, and then they were in the same band for a little while, and that didn't work out that great. And then I played in a band with Max, and then that kind of folded after a while. And then I left, lived in England for a while, and then I went out to live in Vancouver looking for somebody to collaborate with, because as a songwriter, I'm personally not capable of doing the whole thing by myself. I have one little niche that I can do, and was lucky enough to meet Sonny Keys, who's an incredible songwriter himself. And so we started working on songs. And then, like I said, we did some demos, and then basically said, I know these guys from back in Oakville, and it would be a good band. I always wanted to have keyboards in a band, and that was always my goal ever since, Elton John. I mean, Rob Bruce would probably tell you the same thing about the inspiration that we all got from Elton John.
Wait, you're telling me Rob Bruce is an Elton John fan?
I know it's a shock.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Another thing was Dave Clark 5. They had a great keyboard player.
Yeah, well, and he was the lead singer too. And
Days of string bands. There was actually a good rock band with a keyboard.
What about the Doors, right? Like, I mean...
Oh, no, it was great. But Elton was very upfront about his songwriting, in the fact that he wrote the music and Bernie wrote the lyrics. And so that was kind of an eye-opener for somebody who, was good at one part of that and then maybe not that great at the other. And so, and that way, you can really focus on what your best ability is. And I think that's what we've done all the way through into the way that the Kings are now. And Dave and I write most of the songs now.
Yeah.
So the original lineup. So today, are there any gigs in the schedule? When can I see the Kings?
Well, have you got any suntan lotion? Because we're playing in Cancun November the 8th.
Really? I'm very interested in this. Are you kidding me? Cancun in November 8th.
Put your banana hammock on. And
Do you have? Are all four of you going to be in the Spoons, or any holdouts from the OG lineup?
The Spoons?
Sorry. You know what? That's because I'm thinking ahead of what I'm going to play.
I'm still thinking of Sandy.
Well, aren't you?
Yeah, Sandy's great. We all love Sandy. Everybody
she's
loves
a super
Sandy.
nice person, and so Gord is great as well.
Gord Spoon. Okay, the
So
Kings.
the
my
original
apologies.
guys,
Yeah.
yes.
So is Max Styles going to be on drums with you guys?
No.
He quit the band in 1980.
82. He hasn't been in the band since 1982. We've had about 30 different drummers over the years, but lately meaning since 2007, we have a fantastic drummer. His name's Todd Reynolds, and he just fit right in when we needed it. We needed it.
And
there.
the thing about Todd and the thing about playing in a band is that you got to know how to hang. And you've got to be a good person and an upbeat, positive attitude.
Right.
Because it's hard enough doing all this stuff. But Todd is a very upbeat, positive person. You know, there's never a negative vibe from him ever. And that's one of the great things about him.
Yeah, great drummer.
But
And
otherwise,
he's a great singer, too. I mean, you know, he's a very talented guy.
speaking of great singers, David, you're a great singer.
Oh,
man.
thank you
Your
so
vocals are
much.
amazing. And
Yeah,
I am going to
thank
play
you.
new stuff, still sounding great. And Mr. Zero, man, you're a legend. So you two, of course, founding members. And Sonny Keys, he left the band and came back. Is that right? So Sonny Keys is on keyboards for you in Cancun?
Yes,
Yeah.
he is. That's
I
just a
don't
long story. He's in between.
He never officially sort of left the
No,
band.
he's always been helping hand in working on music, even though he's been far away from right when we were. But
It was more just life. You know, he got
Yeah.
married, had kids and everything, and we just couldn't afford to, he couldn't afford to stay in the band. He had to make a living. And so that's,
we played with many great keyboard players in between as well. I think Rob, did we do a thing with Rob for a while? Rob Bruce?
I think we maybe.
Indeed, but
So the reason I
Peter Nunn-
erroneously...
Oh, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
No, I'm talking over you, man. I'm the asshat here. But I got to say, I called you the Spoons because I was looking at the clip I wanted to play. So the Kings, not the Spoons. I'm well aware of this. But this is why I accidentally called you the Spoons. Because Rob Prue sent in a message, and I'm going to play the message. Then we're going to move on from the Spoons. But this is from Rob Bruce.
Hey, Toronto Mike. It's Burlington Rob calling. Well, recording. Saying hello to you and your special guests today on my birthday. I know you didn't plan it this way, but I just wanted to say hello to Zero and Dave because, I've known Mr. Zero for a long time, since like the 1990s, I believe. We met at a recording session in Burlington, and it was with our friend Attila, who's a drummer and ran a studio. And I'm just very happy that you guys are there with Mike today because Mike is a cool guy and you guys are very cool. I was remembering that I saw you play in New York City, January 2020, just before the world shut down, which is crazy because that's almost 5 years ago now. Isn't that weird?
isn't that something?
But, you know, like the rest of Canada, I've been a huge Kings fan, and I saw you guys play at my high school in Burlington, in Nelson High School.
Sure.
Which cracks me up to think about now. I think my friend's band opened as well. And then one of our early Spoons gigs, well, not too early, but we opened for you guys in Guelph or London. And I always have this memory. Zero, I'm sure I've mentioned this to you before because the university newspaper, the review, the headline was Fresh Spoons Meet Road Weary Kings. And like they liked us and they thought you guys were okay. But I felt really guilty about that headline. Like I felt like it was weird. It was the first time we had just started getting reviews and stuff. And I remember thinking it was so cool to be opening for you guys, which it was. And I remember your keyboard player, Sonny, jumping up and down in a jumpsuit, and he was super cool. But to this day, I think of that headline and it makes me feel guilty because you guys have one of the most timeless, fantastic songs to come out of Canada, as we all know. And as I'm sure you've been talking about, or you've talked about already, or you will talk about, and you should always talk about it because it's one for the ages, as they would say on the Twilight Zone. And Mr. Zero and I share a common love of Jesus Christ Superstar as well. I know we talk about that all the time.
We do.
And anyways, I'm taking up all your time, and I hope you're having a good time. I can't wait to listen to this when I'm celebrating my birthday. Later on, I will tune in and check you guys out. Love y'all. Bye.
Wow, right on.
Rob.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday,
I didn't
Rob.
know. You're getting
And
to be
you know-
a younger man, are
Yeah,
you?
and the reviewer wasn't reviewing the band. He was in love with Sandy. I
I'm
mean,
the reviewer. I'm revealing to you guys I was the reviewer.
let's face it. It wasn't the band. It was Sandy that he was raving about.
I remember that gig in Guelph. I
Yeah, it
remember
was at
that
Guelph,
too.
yeah.
Yes, I
It's
do.
funny. And today, I know you said it, but I'm going to echo those sentiments. Happy birthday to Rob Bruce.
Yeah, happy birthday, Rob.
Woo! Yes.
And it was great seeing him in New York, and we all went out and had a couple drinks after, and it was a lot of fun.
And of course, Rob didn't mention it, but He was there at the Moonshine Cafe there in Oakville the day that I was photobombed by the legend that is Mr. Zero.
No, just call me Zero. Mister is Mister's my dad. As
But
they
I read
say.
your rider. It says, "Call me Mister." Isn't it in your rider?
No.
When you're this big, they call you Mister. So,
Yeah, that's right.
gents, quick question before I get to the song. But Whistle King, was this the original name of the Kings?
It was. Why, I don't know we called it that. Wasn't a very good idea because people were calling us Whistle Dog and all kinds of things.
Right.
But as we played many of the bars in Toronto in the late 70s.
No, you got to say Tirana.
Oh yeah.
Toronto, I guess. Because we're into New Toronto here now. But people just started calling us the Kings, which made total sense instead of Whistle King. And that's when we all became the people that we are. And I don't know.
Amazing. It's amazing.
Love
And soon I'm going to blow your mind with a gentleman I was on the phone with this morning, and I was telling him, Dave and Zero are coming in from the Kings, and then he told me how he's connected to you guys. And the way he's connected to you, and we'll get to him later, but is through Bob Ezrin. So how does Bob Ezrin enter your orbit?
Well, it's a Nimbus 9 studio on Hazelton Avenue, which is the studio is no longer there in the village, right? It's long gone. That's where Bob worked a lot and cut his teeth with Jack Richardson, doing many
There's a
great
name for
albums
you.
there. Yes,
Yeah, the Guess Who?
and so Bob had worked there many times, met many friends there, and of course he skyrocketed it off and was doing The Wall. And
Some obscure band he was working with, some English
with
band.
Pink Floyd, and who had a little bit of money was the King Boys to book late night recording sessions when the studio was down and quiet. And so there we were, spending every last cent we had, working on our own album, on our little indie album, and who knows what was going to happen. Well, what happened was Bob came back from finishing up The Wall in England. He'd been gone a long time. His family was living in Toronto. He came into Nimbus to visit friends and check out things, and who happened to be in there working was the Kings.
The Kings. I knew that one.
And we were just happened to be working on The Speak Goes On, Switch and the Glide, and he got wind of it and listened to it, a rough version of it, took it home, played it for his family, played it for the kids. The kids liked it. He came back and said, let's do something. And that's sort of how it started.
Yeah, it's pretty much what happened. And then we worked out a little thing with him to mix the tracks that we had on This Beat Switching specifically. And so when he was tearing apart the tracks to do the mix, he realized that while the songs we had were good, we weren't necessarily that good in the studio and with, drum parts and things like that. And unfortunately for a drummer, the thing once you get into recording more is that the drums are the hardest thing and the most important thing to record when you're making a record. And he told us stories about Nick Mason and Pink Floyd and Peter Criss and Kiss. And so drummers really get under the spotlight when you're on into that microscopic view when you're in the studio, and your timing, each hit on the snare has to be the same. I mean, it's crazy how important it is. And so he was, and we ran into this at other times as well, was you got to get rid of your drummer. And so we didn't like hearing that. And so we were loyal. And we came up together from, slugging it out in the bars and rehearsing for 3 or 4 years before we had that opportunity. And so we said, well, can you just work with our drummer and make it good enough to play and record? So he said, okay. And that's when
we had to just
we had to go rehearse and drill.
We practiced and drilled these songs. At one point, Max and I'm the bass player. You have to be super tight with the drums when you're playing. And we were at a rehearsal studio, and he said, okay, you guys, you just keep practicing that song. You just keep going over it. And the other guys, they all left and went for lunch. and left Max and I there.
Right.
And, you know, Bob pointed, I said, you know, when I come back here, I want to, it was like one of those things. So they walk out and leave, and Max and I look at each other, well, we better get this, and we better nail this, or we're going to be in shit, you know. And that's what, and they came, of course, we had it nailed pretty good then.
Okay, so to go back a little bit, though, did you submit a song to the Q107 Homegrown Contest?
Well, actually, the first homegrown contest that was ever in Toronto was from Chum FM. It wasn't Q107, and it was the 100th anniversary of recorded music.
1977.
Okay.
It was.
That's the year of Q107's birth, by the way.
That's
so-
right.
Yeah.
So Q hadn't been actually really super established at that time,
Right.
and it was at the exhibition, the Canadian National Exhibition in the automotive building upstairs. They had built a temporary studio, and we
That was
submitted-
after. That was after we had won.
Right.
So what song did you submit for the... So, sorry, just to understand, was it the Q107 Homegrown or the Chum FM one that you submitted your
Yeah,
song
it was
to?
Chum FM.
Chum FM.
And so that was the first one in Toronto. They had over 600 entries sent in by cassette. So you can imagine how much fun that would be to listen to. And then I guess they had finalists. And we were amongst the final 10 or whatever it was. And that's when we got to record at this
makeshift studio at the automotive building at the exhibition. And it was like a fishbowl. It was like plexiglass all around. So people were, you know, little kids were pushing their noses up against the thing. And in the actual control room, there was like a velvet rope or whatever you call it that you could stand behind, and there'd be producers working, mixing and recording, and we'd be in the fishbowl there. It was quite an experience.
That sounds
really.
amazing,
And
actually.
that's where Jack was too. wasn't
That's where
it?
we first met Jack Richardson there.
And so he was brought on board to sort of help steer the us at that particular time in that studio. And again, once again, he's going, you know, you're a drummer.
Yeah.
But you're loyal. I love the fact you're
Yeah.
loyal to you guys came up together. But, you know, even
Yeah.
the Beatles got rid of Pete Best.
That's in the end that happened. Yeah, but the song was called "Turn My Face to the Wall," which actually turned into "Don't Let Me Know," which is on the first album.
And here it is.
Here it is.
Still in the set.
We still play it every gig.
One minute you're happy, next minute you're blue.
So this is a re-recorded version, right?
Tell me you got a plan.
This was produced by Bob Ezrin.
Yeah.
Let's hear it for a bit.
Help you pack your bags and go. Baby, it's through. Turn my face to the wall. Don't wanna see anymore. Baby, when you want home, don't let me know. You know I heard that story before. I can't listen no more. Baby, when you want home, don't let me know.
And you guys won the contest.
We won it. Yes.
What's the prize?
This is a good one.
This is a
Zero,
good
go
one.
ahead. Zero.
Wow. like you mentioned, Q107, they started having their homegrown contest, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger through the 80s. And they were given like 50 grand worth of equipment and a recording contract with one of the Canadian major labels and all this stuff. And we got a free lunch.
That's hilarious because I'm going to now reveal the gentleman I was having a long conversation with this morning is Blair Packham from the Jitters.
Yeah,
Blair's a good
Blair's
guy.
great. Yeah.
And he was telling me about you guys and his experiences. And he told me you guys are the meat in the Jitters Pink Floyd sandwich because he says Bob Ezrin does the wall, then he works with you guys, and then he works with the Jitters. This is how Blair remembers it anyway.
Okay.
So that's what a small world that is.
Yeah. Wow.
Next episode will be Pink Floyd's deep dive, obviously. But he won his group with Red Hot Fools won the homegrown contest on Q107 a few years later.
Yeah,
Right, yes.
Blair's a good friend, and you know, he was actually at the Heatwave concert
Yes, Doug McClement.
That's right.
Yes, that's a whole other part of the longest story ever told here.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get to that because I want to talk
Just
about
saying.
Heatwave, but you're right. He was there
Yes.
recording you for the Heatwave.
Yeah.
Well, Doug was, and Blair was.
Blair was like an assistant
Yeah.
engineer guy there or something with Doug there.
And he was there, and Doug is a good friend too. Who what a career he has! I mean, he's just everywhere. He was just at the Olympics. He's done all the Olympics in the last 20 years.
You know, I'm a big Tragically Hip fan, and I've heard many a recording by Doug McClement. The guy captures live music like nobody else. I've had him in this basement to kind of, grill him on all this. But yeah, he can record a live band like nobody else.
Oh, he's great, and
And he did a great job for you.
oh, he's a good friend. And I was just reached out to him last week about something else. That he's a photographer as well, and so. I went to a lot of concerts when I was young, and he went to a lot of concerts when he was young, and we were at some of the same concerts, and we were both geeky nerds, I guess, in the camera club kind of guys. And so,
The AV club, right?
yeah, and so he was taking pictures of some of these shows, and I got somehow some guy in Greece reached out to me about a Jimi Hendrix photo that I took when I saw Jimi Hendrix, and he was saying, could you send me a copy of it? And so I sent him a, copy of this thing online I took a few photos. I mean, that's the thing, if you want a diversion, we can just.
This is Toronto Mike. Go on a tangent.
Yeah.
We'll come
Yeah,
right back
well,
because I haven't even got to the song yet.
I digress. But, like you see now, when somebody goes to a concert and takes pictures with their digital camera, they can take 500 pictures.
Yeah.
Okay, and adjust the shutter speed to whatever maxed out kind of, you can get low light photos and all this
you can
stuff.
fix it.
We would go with a roll of 20 or 36 Tri-X black and white film because it was 400 ASA faster than the color film, which was like 160 at the time. And even sometimes you'd shoot slide film because it was faster than the negative film. But anyway, Doug took a lot of pictures. And I had a couple of decent shots of Jimi Hendrix, but he was shooting in color, and he's got some better ones than I did. And so I reached out to him last week, and I said, there's this guy in Greece that is an amateur, but he collects Jimi Hendrix pictures. Would you mind sending him a couple of yours? And so he did. And this guy in Greece was super stoked about it,
Amazing. Yeah. Doug's a good guy. Blair's a good guy. You guys are good guys.
We're all good guys.
Can I get to the song already? I feel like.
What about Sandy, though?
Sandy, are you there? Zooming in from Oakville here.
Mike's married now, wasn't he? Yes, he is.
Is Sandy available? She's not available, right?
She's got
Never too late. Just keep telling yourselves that. Never too late. All right. You know what? We got to get to the. There's a Simpsons line. When are they going to get to the fireworks factory? So let's get to this. Now I'm going to play this. You're welcome to talk over it, and I'll bring it down because people can always find this song, and people probably have it on their playlist already. But I think of that as like pop-up video. Okay, so say what you wish during it, but let's get this going here. And then I have some questions from listeners about this song.
Well, that great riff was developed by David the Diamond
me.
at a strip joint in Grimsby,
That's right.
Ontario.
The Hunt Club.
And he was just
That's a mind blow.
he's just tuning his guitar, and he started playing that lick. And
That's right.
Sonny went, "What is that?" And Dave said, "I don't know."
I don't know. I'm just tuning my guitar. And then-
Isn't that like the origin story? Randy Bachman tells a similar story of American Woman. He's noodling, and
Something
then
like
Cummings
that,
comes
yeah.
on, and he
Yeah.
starts singing, and that's how
and
this
I
song.
think the same part, the bass part in the Queen song. Was it
Another one bites the
Another One
dust.
Bites
Right.
the Dust? It's sort of that sort of thing too. It's a gift.
Speaking of gift, you said gift, so let me do this now, even though the song's playing and we're going to talk about it. But you have beer in front of you, and I just want you to know if you're thirsty now for a fresh can of craft beer from Great Lakes Brewery.
Hang on.
At least a couple of these are cold.
Okay, I'm trying to open
Pass
the case
Mr.
here.
Here, so
How do you do it? Oh, there you go.
It's
Well, we might as well have a drink right now while
good.
this beat goes on.
all right. So cracking open a fresh can of Canuck Pale Ale.
Oh, Canuck Pale Ale.
So you crack that open. The rest
well,
of you guys
we're
can bring
Canucks
home.
and we're pale,
That's
so
right,
I don't
that's what I'm
see
gonna
a
crack
problem.
open.
You and I both.
All right.
So let me get to the questions, and then I uncovered a rare version to discuss. But Johnny D wants to know the obvious. I need to know right now.
Johnny.
Why? Yeah, Johnny wants to know why are there
Johnny.
really two songs? Like this song is two songs. The beat goes on and switch into glide. How did they get merged? Like, what's the story there?
Well, let's see. We had
Well, say hi to Johnny.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hey,
we
dude.
love Honeymoon Suite, and we did a bunch of shows with them last year. We've known these guys forever, and they're an awesome band.
They
And
are
Rob
very
Bruce
good.
was in the band for a bit.
He was.
And, our friend Peter Nunn's in that band now,
And
too.
Peter played with us, and it's very, very tied together in this.
Well, the song started off with this part. This beat goes on. We didn't know how to end it. Basically, on and on and on and on. What are we going to do here? And then I came up with this line that da-da-dong, 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 walking around my house in the summertime, early summer in Oakville. And so I said, Z, I got this lick here. And he said, well, I got this idea about switching the glide. And I said, well, I thought to myself, I played it on acoustic, da-da-dong, 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 switching to glide. It just fit like a glove. And all we had to do was try to link the two together. And the synth glide came into, I guess Sonny came
had a
into
mini
that
Moog. He
idea.
had a mini Moog synthesizer.
Yeah, and it was just, let's glide, make a glide happen, and then that's how they got linked together, and then we could end the This Beat Goes On song.
Because otherwise it just ends like this. You just keep going. Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
There's the lick.
Da-da-dum, da-da-dum, da-da-dum.
There's the glide.
Nothing matters
Yeah.
but the weed.
In that line, if I may, I say that line all the time. Nothing matters but the weekend. Who came up with that line?
Oh, that's Mr. Zero. That's his brain.
brother.
That's why he's here, man.
That's why
Yeah.
he's
Well,
here.
that's like that line came relatively easy, and I knew it was good. The melody was strong, and the lyrics fit perfect, and it was a nice statement. But the line after that gave me headaches for a long time because you go, well, this is nothing matters with choosy point of view. That's really good, but then you go, what's can follow that?
That's as good as that.
You know,
Really hard.
and then I just came up with this, like a kettle in the kitchen, I feel the steam begin to brew. And I thought, you know,
good.
it's just as good. It's
good.
it's
good.
just as good as the first one.
Well, this song's iconic, right? Like, I mean, you hear it everywhere, and you go. We joked off the top, one-hit wonders. I mean, so many bands would give their, left arm for a freaking hit like this that people decades later are listening to. I'm like, here it is in my headphones, and I'm smiling. Right? You did this, man.
That's a
You
great-
did this.
Yeah. It's a gift, I tell you, from our dads.
When you perform live, do you play it twice?
We have done.
We have, but we
I have somebody who was at a show who's, I think it was Bob Willard, who said, yeah, you played it twice. I'm like, that's the move, right? That's the power move.
well, we usually when we played in clubs, we played at the end of the first set, and then we do it as an encore at the end of the night. But
Yeah, people really want it. Actually, we got paid to play it a third time, I think, one place.
I think that was,
It paid
that was
extra.
the second time. In
Would you
this.
come to a TMLX event and just play it like 6 times in a row for me?
That'd be
What's it worth to you?
Do you want a large lasagna from Palma Pasta? I got one in my freezer for you. You can each get one
good,
here.
yeah.
So I got you. Look, I've already. Come on. By the way, I heard you. I heard Dave. You called him Z.
Oh,
I'm a
yeah,
little
Mr. Z.
disappointed. Why not Zed?
Oh,
Because
Oh, there's
we
the-
played in the States a lot.
Because you cracked the Billboard
The Zedo.
Hot 100,
We did,
and just to make
indeed.
sure the listenership knows, most of whom are Canada-based at least. This song's not just a hit in Canada. This is a hit in the USA.
yes.
Yeah, did pretty
And
well
other
for us.
places. Other places other than the USA, which is a wonderful thing.
And I do have on good authority, my crack research tells me that the particularly big in Chicago, which is a pretty good base to have outside of this country.
Yeah, it was really well
was-
received at the biggest radio stations there. We got to top 5, and then we got added to WLS, which is this gigantic AM radio station that's one of those things they call a clear channel, which means they don't drop the wattage at night, so that they could stay with the same 50,000 watts or whatever it was, because at night an AM signal goes further,
So cover more area.
and it would be over 2/3 of the U.S. people would hear it, and so when we got added, we were actually at the Elektra office, the record company in New York City, when they heard that WLS added, and they're going, so they broke out the Stoli vodka and everything. We're having a party,
Right.
any excuse for a party, but then they
didn't really know what it was all about, really, at that time.
We didn't know
What were you talking
WLS.
about?
But we actually found a chart recently that we got to like number 8 or so on that
Oh, in January 81.
on WLS, and right next door to John Lennon's "Feels Like Just Like Starting Over," I think.
Well, yeah, and there's Blondie. I think Blondie's on there, and what was it? Police. There was the top 10 was an amazing.
It's pretty impressive.
No, 100%, and it's a
And
great
there's our
song.
song,
And would you refer to it now as a song, or is we still going with that's 2 songs? Because I can't separate the two. It's like they're like
it's a segue. It is
conjoined
really-
twins.
It is like that. Yes.
Judy Gambita wrote in when she heard you were coming on to say that you were one of the few groups with a song. She says maybe the only one that features my name. She says she was very excited as a Judy.
Well, we've the thing about when I was writing the lyrics to that song, there was. I remember this old song from the 60s called "The Name Game."
Yeah.
Anna Banna Bobana Banana Manna Bobana.
Fee fi fo fana.
And so I just remember thinking, there hasn't been a name song in a while. And it was another 30 years before, was it Mambo No. 5 that came out with
A little bit of Monica.
yeah, exactly. And so that was another that guy
I'm married
was
to a Monica. So I know that.
there you go.
that guy was probably thinking the same thing. There hasn't been a name song in a while. But anyway, I just thought that was cool. However, there was no real Judy, and there was no real Trudy or Dawn.
But there was a Sandy.
Hey, Sandy.
It didn't
You're
rhyme.
Andy.
And,
Speaking of rhyme, so whose idea was it to make Trana rhyme like it does in this great song?
that was all part of the process.
Zero's lyrics. That's
But
great.
I always got a kick out of hearing Toronto's name in the song. The reason the hip is on my mind is because I just watched the 4 series documentary on Prime. So I just watched it this weekend. So they're on my mind. But they have that line in Bob Cajun that night in Toronto, and it's always fun to hear your home city name checked. Like
For
this is a great
sure,
song.
yeah. And
Especially when your song's a hit in the USA,
Ah,
which was not the case for Bob Cajun.
No. And I think that's one of their best songs for sure. It's just a wonderful thing, and such a tragedy with those guys. But,
I know, and I feel like I just relived it on the weekend. It's like
I watched that
I was
too.
talking to
Great.
Brad Jones from Ridley Funeral Home. He came over yesterday, and we were talking about it. And the just the theme of death permeates that documentary because you know how it ends. You know how the
Yeah.
story ends. So you're kind of watching, going through, and you're like, I know how this ends, and it ain't a happy ending.
No, it's the Teenage Head documentary was on the other night as well on TVO. And there's
My
yeah.
teenage head
Those
drumsticks
pink ones,
here.
yeah.
And we played with them over the years, as I'm sure Honeymoon Suite did as well. And all the Canadian bands, we all played with each other at
Right.
different gigs along the way.
Yeah, it's a small, actually, it's like a family. It's a small family of the Canadian musicians. They all know each other. We've all worked together at one place or another, or one spot.
And now the attitudes amongst all the bands are so much more friendly, I think, than it was kind of a competition there for a long time.
There's the survivors. There's
Yeah.
some survivors, and there is a lot of that have gone.
I feel like, do you guys have any relationship at all with a gentleman named Ed Souza? Only because I had him over recently, and he's been putting on shows with Gord Spoon and Honeymoon Suite and these guys. That's what Rob calls them. So I forget. I've been calling him Gord Spoon now. That guy that guy's like the Benjamin Buttons of the Canadian music. I feel like he gets younger.
Well, this is Zero King. I'm Dave King here. Not the promoter. But
the
Sousa,
Honeymoon Suite guys, they all have slang names for all the different bands.
yeah, Peter was telling us about
Oh
it.
yeah, what do they call you guys?
I forget, I think, but some of them are pretty rude, and I think that's the whole idea.
But wait, are you referring
The Kings.
the Kings? Well, the thing about the Kings, which I'm sure so when you decided to name yourselves the Kings, I'm sure it was a great idea at the time, but you didn't have a crystal ball to tell you one day it'll be very difficult for people to Google you. Like the name Kings is you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you didn't who saw the hey, maybe we should give ourselves a more unique name. Like one day people are gonna go to this web browser and they're gonna search for bands and it's gonna be tough to find the Kings.
Oh, the Kings are here. .com.
Kings are here.
The Kings are here on Facebook. The Kings are here. This Kings are here. But all you have to do is Google switching.
That's
Switching
true.
the glide, and you
What does that mean, switching to glide?
Oh, it's Zero came up again with this, the family thing.
Zed, you mean?
Zed.
I'm rebranding
The
him.
Zed came up with this. Yes.
It was just a
That's what everybody did, actually, but he had it.
well, the idea kind of came from when we were kids. We would go on a family vacation. I'm the youngest of 3 kids. My sister and my brother are older than me. We go on these camping trips or whatever, and one time we were in I think Allegheny State Park in New York State, and it's kind of hilly, and my dad, for fun, when he got to the top of a hill, would put the car in neutral.
Right.
Yeah. Coast down
and go
Save some
gliding.
gas.
I remember doing that.
Yeah, and
Sure,
so
had
I
fun with it.
save gas, and the kids would be going, "Oh, great!"
Whee, I can't stop.
And then, so I thought, which is a really dumb idea. I thought, what would it be like if a pilot did that up in the sky?
Yeah.
Like just turn off the engines, and I mean, of course, it's a really bad idea, but
Become a glider then, yeah.
yeah, and drop like a stone. But
Switching to glide.
so that was kind of the idea behind that, and it's as the lyrics say, it's a positive thing.
Yeah.
Energy can be directed. I'm turning it up. I'm turning it down. And so it's a statement about trying to have a positive idea towards the world in general. But those lyrics, Switching to Glide, was pretty much the same as it went through the process. We had to rewrite
Yeah.
when we started working with Bob Ezrin, it's indicative of the way that he works. He'll listen to your song until he doesn't like it, until it's not working, and he goes, "Okay, stop."
He goes, stop.
Okay,
Okay,
This
there's
is where-
something wrong here.
Yeah.
It doesn't work here.
this is where it goes wrong, and so
So he did that in the This Beat Goes On part of the segue.
then he goes, "Go fix it," and it's like, okay, well, thanks.
At one point he did said this.
Who produced the demo of that song?
Yes, we did.
We did. That's why. Yeah, when Bob heard it and he was going to remix it, that's what he said. This is awful. We got to redo.
Do you want to hear
thing.
a little bit of the demo?
Yeah, sure.
So just so everyone who knows that song from the radio that I just played can hear this, and you can hear the differences. But let me load this up here.
That's it. There's the lick. There's the kick and the lick.
That's different.
And I came up with that. The organ part is like 96 Tears or Runaway Del Shannon or something.
It's actually
right?
the same keyboard line. It's just on a different instrument.
Yeah.
Slower too, a little bit.
You said to
The
come
drums.
up
This is the drums.
and moving. Hey, little Donna, I just wanna. You said I should ring you up when I was in.
You can see a lot of the bones are still there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
A lot of that.
Here's where we change the chord progression.
This is where it's different.
Bob didn't like the way it went this way.
The lyrics are different.
So he said to me, "Fix this," and he didn't say what to do. He said, "It doesn't go right here
Right.
in this part."
But he was right.
He's
'Cause
right.
You improved it.
So I took an acoustic guitar and went and sat in the front of the studio in the lobby and just worked on it. I said, what does he mean? What does he? Oh. And I tried a few different things, and it was very easy fix.
Yeah.
I came back and said, "What about this?" And he goes, "That's it."
Okay, since we mentioned Honeymoon Suite earlier, the fun story, because I just had the guys here, and the original version was Cold Winter Nights.
Oh.
Like it was, and I played the demo, and then they changed,
Yeah.
can you make it a summer song or whatever? Hot Summer Nights, and it completely improved the song.
Oh, yeah.
Nice tweaks. So it's fun to go back and hear like the original demo and then the song you've heard a million times.
And the lyrics here got changed.
may whet your appetite.
Yeah, it's just
Lots of strange directions for misguided social climbs. Ignore them all and do your one thing right. And
that's a good drum fill, though. You got to give him credit. That's a good drum fill.
I feel like the drummer's taking a beating in this episode.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It wasn't all bad. But anyway, Dave rewrote the music and the melody, and then I rewrote the entire song pretty much,
Yeah.
and the message of it as well.
But the whole switch and the glide part of the segue, Bob didn't touch it. It was all there. It was all what he wanted, what we wanted, and he really did produce the front half of this. This beat goes on. He really did his work. That's what they pay. That's what you pay him for.
Well, exactly. Like, what? That's his job, man. It's like, yeah, you did a great job. Like, that's just like my job, man. You know, come on, Bobby.
You got one job to do, and just do it right.
Let me hear this segue again. Yeah.
this beat goes on. Yeah.
So this is our version. No Bob here.
There's Sonny singing. That's Sonny.
This beat goes.
This is Bob's mix, though.
Yeah, Bob's mixed,
Oh,
but
I was gonna ask if
all
it
our
was-
music.
Okay, so I was wondering if this existed. Like,
Yeah.
was this formed before Ezrin touched it like
This is
this?
Bob's mix.
Yeah, just the mix. But we had the glide. We had
Yeah.
we had all this.
Just needed a little lipstick, maybe, but it was
Yeah.
it was there, man. The song was there. So what
Well-
changes for you though? I want to know what it's like to hear suddenly you're hearing your song on the radio and all that. Like, what changes for the Kings when this song breaks on the radio?
Well, we had. I mean, the thing was that Bob believed in us and was able to go to L.A. and, like a Cinderella story, as they say, and get us a international major label recording contract. And
Elektra.
and the money to re-record the album and the money to go in and rehearse for a month or whatever it was, with making it all tight to his standards, and with our drummer, which is, you know, again, the loyalty thing. But, you know, it was worth it.
Yeah. And you got to remember, this is pre-digitization. This is all on 2-inch tape.
Right, 1980.
And and so there was cutting and splicing of these little pieces. We were watching, you know, you watched how fast those tapes would run. How long did they last? A couple of minutes, or
Well, they're 30 inches per second, and so a
Yeah, so we-
2-inch tape would last 15 minutes.
okay? So you don't you can't
$300.
$300 a piece. So you'd see Bob would be cutting and splicing pieces 6 inches long of his tape some places sometimes, and other ones that were 3 feet long, and he'd be splicing and changing, because you can't just go edit, click, click, and it's
Right.
fixed. You had to actually do it by turn the reels back and forth till you find the spot, and then cut, you know, and then you hope you cut it in the right spot.
Does this song still make cash money for you, gentlemen?
Yeah.
Can I see your financial statements? please?
Sure.
Did you bring your financial
Yeah,
statements?
they're right
for me,
here.
Z?
Right here.
All right, piece of advice for you, gentlemen, since you've got a little cash to flash there, thanks to having a hit, which is why it's wonderful to have a hit, right? You tell all those many musicians who have no hits, and most don't have any hits, you're like, oh, it's good to have a hit, okay. But if you listen to a podcast called the Advantaged Investor Podcast from Raymond James Canada, you'll learn best practices and good investment advice from people who know. So I highly recommend to all my dear friends, all FOTMs, to subscribe and listen to the Advantaged Investor Podcast from Raymond James Canada.
Okay.
Well, a lot
You
of
got your marching orders now.
well, a lot of people, as you know, are selling their publishing catalogs. I mean,
Right.
Springsteen did it. Bob Dylan did it. A lot of people are doing it. And I don't know if we necessarily agree with that.
We talked about it, but
You know,
selling ours,
but you know,
this is good beer.
Okay, let's talk for a moment. I was going to ask you the dime. I was going to ask you about your name, first of all. So obviously you guys got these cool handles here. I feel like I'm with the Ramones or whatever, but
well, that's exactly what happened. Was that around the time we were playing in the bars and the Ramones were out, and then a little band called U2 came along
The Edge.
with all these funny names, and we thought, I mean, but it goes back much further than that. I mean, Judy Garland's name is Frances Gum.
Yeah,
You know.
John
Sinatra.
Wayne.
Frank
John Wayne was
Sinatra's real-
Marion, I
Yeah.
believe. John
You know,
Wayne.
Marion Morrison is his real name.
Frank Sinatra's real name is
Francis.
He's Francis Albert. That's right.
Sinatra. But
That's right.
But you know, Engelbert Humperdinck, not
David-
his real name.
That's the key. You're blowing my mind right now. But David Diamond, was there already the known entity David Lee Roth in the universe at this point?
Was it though?
I feel like
I
feel like
think
79
so.
or something for David Lee Roth.
So I
and
was
Van
ahead
Halen.
of.
You were ahead of him.
Just by a tad.
I don't know.
'Cause
I mean,
I have a lawyer. You
But
can
I'm-
get some cash out of him, maybe.
But he's Diamond Dave. I'm Dave.
You're Dave
Diamond.
Diamond. I know. I just wondered, do people want to call you Diamond Dave? I
I've
know.
heard that before, but most people don't because
Does your rider ask that the brown M&Ms be removed from the bowl? Can I see?
no, our rider was just lots of beer.
we like Smarties.
It's down, you know, in the States, I know you know this, but in the States, our Rockets are their Smarties.
Oh, is
so
that-
they
that's
don't
it.
have our Smarties. They
Oh,
have
yeah,
M&Ms.
they
They
have
don't have our
M&Ms.
Smarties.
That's
Right.
right.
So
Yeah.
very good. Couple.
And you know, they don't have. We call it grade 12 or grade 11. It's 11th grade to them.
Oh,
Right. Well, they don't know what they're doing down there. Okay.
For sure.
We got to figure it out here. But they do have. Well, they had a great show called American Bandstand.
Mm-hmm.
Dick Clark's American Bandstand. Please tell me about your experience. That's big freaking deal for a band out of Oakville. You're on Dick Clark's American Bandstand. What do you remember about that?
Well,
It was
the,
scary.
the album was the single was doing well at that point. That was the late fall of 1980, and so it was really doing well. And our manager Randy Phillips, and that's another. I mean, our new album's called The Longest Story Ever Told because there's just so many aspects to this whole thing, and everything it has an explanation.
And we've been going around. We've been around since water.
But the song was climbing the song was climbing the chart, and then one day Dave and I actually lived in Bob Ezrin's old apartment up in Mount Pleasant in St. Clair, and one day there was a knock at the door, and there was this guy there, and he says, do you guys have any idea what you're doing in the States? I'm a manager,
Any
and
idea
I
what
came
your
up.
song is doing.
I came up here to see you guys because I want to manage you guys. And it turned out his name was Randy Phillips, and he went on to manage Rod Stewart and Prince and huge artists, Michael Jackson as well.
Never heard of him.
Yeah.
He's actually the guy that kind of did
Yeah.
Michael Jackson in. But anyway,
That's the real talk right there.
he said I can help you guys, and I can help you make money.
Yeah. And I know what I'm doing in the U.S. I know people.
And he's very just the kind of guy you want. Very aggressive. Doesn't take
business.
Doesn't take no for an answer. And he used to put on concerts at Stanford University where he went, and was very young and eager, and so we knew at the time going to the States that our Canadian team was out of their league, basically. And unfortunately, it wasn't, again, a loyalty thing. It was like a business decision that we had to make to
Go forward.
to move the needle up, because there are a bunch of sharks down there, and the record company, you got to know how to deal with them and all this other kind of thing. And he was very good at that. And so when the record company originally released Switching to Glide on its own without This Beat Goes On, and then it didn't do much, and then we were saying to them, the promo department, you got to release the Segway. And then some people in the promo department believed that as well, because that's the magic, is both songs together.
100%.
And so then they did that, and that's when the phones started to ring at the radio stations. And our friend Bob Stroud in Chicago, he was at one of these stations, and he said he was in the cart room. I don't know if anybody knows what a cart room is. It's when they used to play songs on the radio. It was on like an 8-track. Remember those? Cassette.
Yeah.
Right?
And they would have every song on a cart. They record it in their own radio station from the album and put it on a cart, so you can just jam it in there and play it.
Yeah, you stack them up and just put them in. Yeah.
Yeah, instead of having to drop a needle on an album or something like that, they could just put this 8-track type cassette in there. Anyway, Bob, who's a super famous DJ, legendary guy in Chicago, and a good friend, he said, I put on that thing. And we actually had lunch with him a few years ago, and have stayed in touch with him a lot. But I loved his line. He says, I got hit ears, and I knew instantly that was a hit. And it turned out to be true. He's just, that riff started and this dumb Hey Judy stuff and everything else, and then it grabbed people's ears, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know.
Well, it's 2024. You're in my basement right now, and it's grabbing my ears as we speak. So,
Thank you.
But do you remember? Do you have any Sorry, go ahead.
American Bandstand. Oh,
Yeah.
it
Well, we're
was,
gonna get to Mary Bands before I get to Mary Bands, because I'm gonna surprise you with a little clip here. But I wondered, do you have any recollection of the first time you heard your music on the radio in the wild? Like, do you have any memory of like what it's like? I always imagine, what is it like when, I don't know, you're driving on Yonge Street and somebody's driving the strip, the convertible, the roof is down, and they're blasting that song on.
Well, it's always a thrill.
Even now, yeah, even now.
Even now.
The first time I remember, I was with a girlfriend up at Wasaga Beach or Palm Beach, one of those.
Yeah.
Early summer or midsummer, and walking along the beach. And it was back then you could park your cars right on the. Like
I've
on
seen
the
these
sand.
photos. Yeah.
You know, that kind of stuff. And everybody, the tailgate parties only like with like at the back, the doors open of cars and vans, and everybody with their big boom boxes. And I remember walking with her, and all of a sudden, from somebody's car, you know, there was the speak goes on, switching the glide, and I just remember looking at her and go, "There it is."
Isn't that amazing?
It's
Yeah.
really amazing.
Like,
And,
how much
we
pride
did-
do you feel when you hear that? Like, you're hearing that, you're like, that's my voice.
That's it. Yes, it was.
It's an awesome feeling.
We
And
just looked at each other and gave her a big kiss and said, "Here we go, honey."
Wow.
That was a long time ago. That girl's long gone.
but I remember
That wasn't
being
Sandy Horn, was it?
Oh no, it wasn't Sandy.
I remember being at the Swiss Chalet at Yonge and St. Clair, which was a notorious place. I remember having dinner in there once, and the cockroach was walking across the table.
Singing, switching the glide.
But we used to live near there, and I remember going to get takeout from the Swiss Chalet at Yonge and St. Clair. And it was at the back door up the steps, and I mean, you could slide on the floor in there. It was so greasy. And one of the kitchen guys walked by on the way to get some more chickens or something, I guess, and he was singing Partyitis, which really sort of freaked me out because, you know, it's the last song, I think, on the album. Oh,
Amazing.
Anyway, wherever it is.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a single, so to speak, to the extent their second single was Don't Let Me Know. But
Right.
but he obviously had the album, and I just remember going, wow, that is deep. And he didn't know who I was or
Deep
anything.
cut.
It wasn't.
Yeah, he wasn't performing for you. It was
No.
organic.
It was very organic, and it's a great glimpse into the world at large, and to think that you're part of it it's a great feeling for sure.
Amazing. So, just to let the listenership know, if you want to hear how the Kings sound now, I'm gonna play Nowhere to Go But Gone. Okay, and we're gonna talk about it because it sounds amazing. But I did pull a clip. I'm wondering how you got on. Is it just you had a hit, so it was easy to get you on Dick Clark's American Bandstand? Like, what do you remember about that? And then I'm gonna let you guys relax for a couple of minutes because I thought it was fascinating when I was watching you guys talking to Dick Clark back in, I guess it was 1980, and it's kind of interesting to hear you guys talk. And then now that we've been hearing you talk now for an hour, so I'm actually gonna play a couple of minutes from that appearance. But what do you remember? No, you don't have to cringe. You guys come off pretty good actually, considering you're young guys from Oakville, Ontario, except for one guy from Victoria, which is discussed. And What do you? How'd you get on it?
Well, again, through we had opened up for Jeff Beck in
Wow.
a couple of gigs and done a few other bigger things. And
You did Bob Seger. You opened up for Eric Clapton, the Beach Boys.
Yeah.
These are massive American
Yeah.
and British bands.
But,
well, we were on tour in the States, and then it came through Randy, our manager, and the record company. They had the pull.
Right. And we went, but they were only going to play the Switch and the Glide part of the song, which is what they did. And they're like, you lip sync to it. The same, the kids are the same kids. They shoot like 5 shows in one day. And so the audience, all the young kids, they bring 5 changes of clothes and
That's what they do in
or
Jeopardy.
whatever, the type of thing. So they shoot it all at once. So it's pretty wacky because it's like the doors are open, both coming and going for the bands, and like we saw Kool and the Gang. We were talking to them and stuff, and but it was pretty neat the way
Nick Lowe and Rockpile were on the same show as we were.
right.
Wow.
And it was Dick Clark. Zero and I were getting our makeup on in the makeup room. It's all big glass, beautiful makeup room. Zero and I are sitting there looking at the, getting powdered up and stuff in the mirror, as you can see, coming in behind us was Dick Clark with his makeup girl come and sat beside me to my right, and Zero's on the left, and we're all looking at each other in the mirrors.
Yeah.
And he just started asking us a few questions about the band and how we're doing and where we came from and how was it being in the States and playing.
Quick question before I play the clip. When he says where you come from, you don't say Oakville, right? Like, you don't-
I think we say Toronto.
Yeah, because
Is it
I've
Toronto?
always found that interesting. When you're speaking to somebody like a Dick Clark, an American guy, you're from Toronto, right? When you're talking to like Toronto Mike, now you're from Oakville, because I can tell you the difference. I know Oakville, but Dick Clark doesn't know
He
Oakville.
wouldn't know Oakville, no.
Well, if you're traveling anywhere, you don't say it.
But anyway, so when we go out to do the show, in between our 2 songs, he comes up to do the interview.
Yeah.
And he asked the same questions as he did in the makeup room. So it just shows how professional he was. He did a pre-interview and knew what to ask right off the bat. He was he was such a nice fella.
And while the, anyway, go ahead. If you
Well,
got
yeah,
that.
let me play it, and
They
then at the
haven't-
other side, you might have.
They've
comment.
never released on YouTube us playing on American Bandstand, but a couple of years ago they did put out the little interview part.
which is where I grabbed it from. So let's hear it now. This is exclusive audio, but it's pretty. I think you come off well, but
Deer
we'll
in the
talk on the other
headlights
side. A
here.
couple of minutes here.
It gets your blood moving. This is David Diamond. David, do the honors. Please introduce me to your friends and cohorts.
This is Zero on guitar.
How do you do, sir? And the man behind you.
Max Styles on the drums.
Max, nice to see you, sir. And over here on keyboard.
That's Mr. Sonny Keys.
Sonny, welcome. Are you all from Toronto?
We are all from Toronto except for myself. I'm from the West Coast also, Victoria, BC.
See, now, if you were from Toronto, you wouldn't be out of breath doing those split jumps over there. You'd be in better shape. You know, we were talking about the difficulty of crossing the border with music. We share so much in common. Why is it so tough for us to get up there and you to get down here?
Well, there's a lot of regulations up in Canada as far as the performing rights. There has to be 30% Canadian content.
CRTC.
Yeah.
Listening?
It was
they don't
just
like
started
too many
then. It was
American
just-
It would help
companies
you,
coming
no?
up there. Also,
helped
for us
us
to come
big
down
time,
here, our
but-
money's
Yeah.
worth a lot less, you know.
That trades back and forth, I might add. Sometimes I go up there worth a lot more.
So it costs a lot more money to come down here and tour. So you have to start off with, initially more money than you would need, say, here. It's great to be here in the States, though. We love it.
We're delighted to have you here. Now, after playing bars and saloons and clubs and all that stuff, one day you're in making your own album, spending your own money.
That's right.
Good fortune strikes in the person of whom?
Bob Ezrin, who walked in one day and listened to what we were doing and said, I'd like to mix your album, boys, that you did yourselves.
Now, there may be a few people in the world who don't know that this guy is famous and very wealthy.
Well, screw
and,
those guys, Dick.
well-known.
Come on.
He had just finished
Not as
another...
wealthy as you might think, really.
No, he had just finished another project, had he not?
That's right, The Wall by Pink Floyd. He just finished that one up.
See, he wanders in and he finds 4 young Canadian lads spending their money crazily there.
Well, he's a Canadian as well. He's from Toronto.
Well, the thing that would bother me, if I had worked that hard, spending my own dough, and here comes this big guy, and he says, I want to he wanted to re-record the whole
We
thing?
did the whole thing over again. But it was worth it because he found things, spots in the album that were a little bit weak, not up to his expertise.
Yeah.
So we redid it all. He just made us work more as as a
Can
as
you
a rock
tell
and
he
roll
was
unit.
nervous?
You know, it's
I thought you came off
You mean to
intelligent.
tell me, Zero, there wasn't a flash that
impressed.
came across your mind? You would pick him up bodily
Just
and
'cause
throw
we're
him out a
talking like
window
this.
somewhere.
We thought we'd
You were
gaffer
young.
tape him
We're
to
done.
the,
Hello.
to the wall, but we didn't do
I
it.
still talk like
Worked
that.
out well.
Yeah, he's a great guy, too. Real easy to work with.
Tell you what I would like to do. Jan, can give me a shot of those people over there because I want to cover the beginning of this song. It's tough to get into it, and I promised you I would do that. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, please, if you will, let me hear.
Okay, abrupt ending, but I thought you guys came off pretty well. And
Thanks, Mike.
what great exposure for you guys, American
Oh,
bands.
it was awesome. And the other,
Yeah.
there's lots of other clips of other bands doing that interview part.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sure that
everybody-
Johnny and there's not many Canadian bands that did it.
Yeah,
Honeymoon Suite did it,
did
I
it.
think, a couple times. And the guest
Loverboy do it?
Loverboy did it.
You know
I
who
think.
never did it? Sandy Horn and the Spoon.
No, they never really got out of Canada.
Dick would have liked him, but I heard it though.
But anyway, yeah. But all the bands the first time, they all look like deer in the headlights, as
Right.
they say. But-
And it is like that. 'Cause there's Dick Clark. And he's right in front of you asking you. He's like, whoa, asking you questions, right? And boy, oh boy.
But if you watch our video that we made for This Beat Goes On, Switch and the Glide, which just passed 6,100,000 plays
Wow.
on YouTube.
Wow.
There's clips in the Switch and the Glide part from American Bandstand, and we got the permission from Dick Clark Productions.
Nice.
And they were very accessible and easy to work with regarding getting that footage. And and then we kind of had the idea. Well, when Dick at the beginning of the show, he says, "Please, these guys have worked so hard and something about us," and then he holds up our album and says, "Please greet the Kings." I thought, that would be good to get that too, and so we approached again Dick Clark Productions, and specifically, it went to him. He had to give permission to use that clip, and so he did.
He did.
Nice.
And
he did.
He's not a dick at all.
No, and
He's a nice
You can
dick.
use that one.
I
David.
mean, you think about who's
No dick.
more famous than him in the 20th century.
Yeah, for music, that's for sure.
Perpetual teenager.
And it was amazingly affordable too,
Good.
because you go, this is going to cost $10,000 or more,
Right.
But it wasn't. It was amazing.
It was only 10. No,
Amazing. Now I'm itching to play Nowhere to Go But Gone.
Great.
I can't wait to it. I want to talk about the new album.
Good.
But there's one more question before we get to the modern. Last question before we get to the modern day. It's from Andy Cat. He writes, "What was it like to follow Elvis Costello at Heatwave? I was there and people were headed to the exit. No offense to the Kings, but the long day felt like it was over. The promoters made them, he felt like they'd set you up to be exit music. He didn't think it was fair. I wasn't there. Shout out, we talked about the recording of Heatwave. You guys, I have listened. You guys sounded fantastic. But what can you share with me about Heatwave and that experience and playing after Elvis Costello?"
Well, Elvis went on and on and on. You went into our time slot. That's right.
See what you did there.
I
See
see
how
what
I
you're
did
doing,
that? Yeah.
this guy.
But we were ready to play a good half an hour, and he just kept going and going. And I just remember that, and we were all going, "What the fuck are they doing here?"
Right.
And so we ended up playing in late and it was a long, hot day. That's for sure.
But the thing was about that was that John Brower, the promoter that put on that show, who's done so much for music in Canada and put on some of the most iconic festivals. He brought John Lennon, and
I saw that documentary.
Yeah, and it's amazing. And and he did Strawberry Fields up at Mosport in 1970. He did the Toronto. The other one in 1969 at the Varsity Stadium as well. And anyway, he put some of the people came to us that morning in the hotel and said, we've got a film crew here and we've got a mobile recording truck, Comfort Sound, with Doug McClement, and we want to film and record the whole thing. And we went, great.
Sure, great.
Let's
Awesome.
do, yeah.
16 millimeter film, not video. This is actual film.
Right.
Yeah, and then as it turned out, the Pretenders were on the gig, and Elvis Costello, and Talking Heads, and the B-52s.
That's
Wow.
great. Yeah.
Wow.
And so, and Teenage Head opened the day. As it turned out, we and Teenage Head were the only ones who gave permission. These other idiots didn't do it. They said, look, we'll put it all in a vault. We'll work out the legal stuff later. Just let us film it. And it could be, a quote, on new wave,
New wave Woodstock type of thing. And it would have been awesome.
Because all those bands were at the peak. The Pretenders, they were all still alive. They all hadn't died from drug overdoses yet.
Right.
And the Talking Heads was the first time with the big band that they had, that they went on with. Elvis Costello was great.
B-52s were great.
And it was just this really outstanding thing. And
the Kings were great.
And we were
The
great.
Kings were fantastic.
And so
I feel like I was there.
Well, have you seen the movie we made of it?
Yeah.
They're leaping around.
Anyway, there's we managed to find the film that got lost for a time. And I remember I tracked down this production company that did a lot of TV commercials and stuff, and Loron Films. And I finally got hold of them and asked them about the Heat Wave film. And the guy said, we were in the warehouse last week, and we were clearing the place out, and we had dumpsters outside, and we were throwing away all this film and all the canisters and everything. And we were on the shelf, and we pointed at your guys' little film canisters and said, let's keep that.
Keep that, just in case.
It was a week before that it could have gone in the dumpster. And he said, look, we're never going to use it, so we'll just give it to you. So that was great. And that turned out to be all the Teenage Head footage as well. It was all the footage that was shot that day, and we own it. And then we looked up and found Doug McClement, and he was kind enough to give us the audio from the whole thing as well.
From the board, yeah.
You got to remember, it was like a silent movie, and you had to
sync
the sound to the silent movie.
Right. And so we managed to do that, and then had an early version of it, and then just 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, went over the whole thing and had it restored. And we were lucky enough to, at the time, that was when Teenage Head and Doug Aerosmith were making their documentary. And Doug's a good guy, a good filmmaker, and he approached me about, would you guys let us use the Teenage Head footage in the Teenage Head documentary? And we said, sure. And that's a big part. If you watch their movie, they talk about Heat Wave a lot in that, and
100%.
And the footage of
I saw it on TVO.
Yeah, it was on. They showed it was on the other night.
The other night, yeah, I watched it too.
And then it's just so important for them and how great they were at the time. But mind you, see, we got our audio from Doug McClement, and which was awesome. It was an 8-track tape with 7 tracks of audio and one time code. And then, but their audio for Teenage Head disappeared. And so the audio that you hear in that movie, it's
an overdub.
It's kind of overdubbed. Somebody found a tape of it, but they had redone Frank's voice or something on it.
That's a few spots you notice it doesn't.
If you look, it doesn't sync up.
Interesting. Amazing. Now, quick.
But it's still great.
It's still great.
No, it's still great. And
Gord was a great guitar player.
Yeah, we missed.
Yeah. Tell me, because what a tragedy that was. When I heard that news, I'm like, this can't be real. Like the way he died,
awesome.
the fact he passed away. He's a Hamilton institution. Talk about Gord.
Well, yeah, I mean that was when you watch the Teenage Head documentary, you realize that the Heat Wave show was just when they were peaking.
Mm-hmm.
They had some showcase dates set up in New York. They were going to play in the States. The spotlight, the ever-roaming spotlight was focusing on Teenage Head.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And, they would have cut it. They were the Canadian Ramones. I mean, they were a great band, and they had good songs. And so that was their shot. And then just a month later in September, I think, even though in the movie they show the winter scene, it didn't happen in the winter.
Car wreck.
They had a car wreck, and Gord basically broke his back. So they were out of commission for a long time. And then, you know,
Spotlight moves away.
the
The spotlight
spotlight-
keeps going, and
What a funny business, eh?
yeah, and so
Timing is everything.
it is, and so that's what happened there. And then years later, you know, they made this documentary, and then, you know, the spotlight was coming around again to focus on them. And then Gord
happened.
got murdered by his son.
Right.
And then, but speaking of Gord, I mean, as a guitar player, and my buddy Tim Welsh, who plays with Carol Pope, we're both guitar nerds, you know, and we have both agreed that nobody had a better guitar tone than Gord Lewis from Teenage Head. He had a 56 Junior through a 100-watt Marshall, and that was it. You know, as good as it. I mean, yeah, there's none better. There's people. Their sound is as good, but he had an iconic, awesome guitar sound, and he was a nice guy. I mean,
Gord was nice.
I remember talking to him at This Ain't Hollywood in Hamilton one night, and I said, you know, we got a song like our song's called "I Know So," which is like
Shake it.
let's shake.
Yeah.
Down,
I
down,
said,
down, down, down,
you know,
down,
like
down.
like one of those chord patterns. I said, we got a song that's a lot like that, and he says every band has a song like that.
And which is true.
That's funny. You know, you hear "Let's Shake" in this Tragically Hip doc series that just dropped on Prime. So I heard it this weekend. Quick, listen, I actually want to shout out one last sponsor. Then I want to play brand new
yeah.
The Kings.
Where'd
But
they go?
this is actually a Kings TV commercial.
Hi, this is David Diamond of the Kings. Our latest project is an awesome new DVD called Anatomy of a One-Hit Wonder. You can find it, how to book the Kings, and lots of other really cool stuff on our website, thekingsarehere.com.
So I want to tell the listenership, thekingsarehere.com. That's where you go. That's your one-stop shopping for all things The Kings.
Well, The Kings Are Here is the name of our first album. It's our website. It's our
everything. I'm
Facebook
opening up a few
page.
here.
It's our Facebook page, and it's our YouTube channel, where we have tons of videos and fun stuff to see. And so we love it when people comment. We try to answer every one of them, and so please check it out.
Now I see David Diamond has cracked open a premium lager from
That's
Great
really
Lakes
good.
Brewery.
This is great beer.
You got surprised. I'm telling you. Do you think I'm going to serve up crappy beer? This is it's the only beer I drink, to be quite honest.
No, you were going to have an open bar here today,
Listen,
too. Jesus.
You weren't properly.
I'm a gin and juice guy usually, but this is pretty good stuff.
Yeah, you and Snoop Dogg sipping on gin and juice
Yeah,
here.
he does. That's right. I forgot about
Yeah, laid back. Okay, his mind's on his money. His money's on his mind. I'm playing new material from the Kings right now, but first I'm going to tell you about recyclemyelectronics.ca, because if you guys have a drawer, a room, a closet full of old tech, old electronics that don't work,
that. We all do, don't we?
don't throw it in the garbage. Those chemicals end up in our landfill. It's bad for the environment. It's bad for everybody. But if you go to recyclemyelectronics.ca and you put in your postal code, it'll say, hey, Diamond Dave, Dave Diamond, David Diamond, Z, Z, Zero, Mr. Zero. All of you can go to this location, drop it off, and we'll recycle it properly so the chemicals don't end up in our landfill. So there's a piece of advice for you. You guys ready to rock with some new stuff?
What about that big box of cables that I got?
They take that. They will
They take
recycle the
cables?
cables too.
They do,
100%. I know we all hold on to cables. Like, this is a thing we all do. But tech moves very quickly, and very, very before you know it, those cables are obsolete. They're
There's so many obsolete.
yeah, but you're like, I might need it one day. You won't need it one day. Those cables you've had for 25 years, it's time to go to recyclemyelectronics.ca.
Okay.
There's nowhere to go but gone.
Gonna head out on the highway. The highway is my friend. Gonna head out west where the highway ends. Then I'll stop in Vancouver. Turn south towards LA. 1,200 miles of surfers waiting for drink a lot of booze, watch a lot of sunsets, go and catch some blues in a bar down on
Firstly, guys, it sounds amazing. Sounds great in the cans. This is from The Longest Story Ever Told.
That's right.
People can go to your website. They've heard the ad for the website now. They know they got to go there. They can pick up The Longest Story Ever Told.
We have it on vinyl.
What?
And CD. Is this you recording this or what? Here's a copy just for you, Mr. Mike. The brand new
Mr.
LP.
Mr. Zero, Mr. Mike, I'm loving it. The Longest Story
Yeah.
Ever Told. Whose dog is this?
That's
another story.
That's another part of the story. The dog is not in any peril. It was just sticking its head through the cat door to get food.
Well, you on the other side.
Yeah, there
we
he
can
is.
see the
Sadie,
dog.
yeah.
Okay, the dog is
dog's
not
name
harmed
is-
in the photography.
It's a farm dog named Sadie.
And we
And-
played at this farm gig
Big
like,
outdoor-
in 2015, I think.
Yeah. And Zero took the picture.
I
The
saw-
dog happened to be laying there like it is on the cover with its
Yeah.
head through the cat door, which is what it usually did. And then, but we didn't. And then we were working on
So
the
we had
album
working on
art.
this album design and with this woman that I can tell you, who, but no point in it because she backed out of it.
Yeah, no, don't worry about her. But
And then so I approached my friend Peter Greco in Oakville, and we worked on the album cover together. And
I mean, Z and I were saying, what can we use as an album cover picture? Because like, it could be anything. Right?
Well, can I thank you guys for not doing what I'm seeing now often in the wild, and I don't like it. It's the AI pictures. Okay, this is a real photo, right?
oh, I took it. Yeah.
Yeah, you
yeah.
took. This is a real dog.
Yeah.
You took a photo. It's so authentic. There's so much AI photography
Oh,
out
yeah, it's
there, and
all
it drives me
BS.
nuts.
The world is going fake.
The dog will be in space or something, and playing a guitar or whatever.
Real shit. Man.
Yeah, no, the so when I started working on the design with Peter Greco, my friend, who's a great talented, he works with us on our videos and stuff, and as our other buddy Neil McNaughton. But I showed him the picture. Said, I won't. See, everything has to be something, right?
It has to be something on the cover.
You got to have something,
Right.
and so. If you got a better idea than the dog sticking its head through the friggin' cat door? No. And so let's use that because it has to be something. And so I showed it to Peter, and he says, "Well, I hope you took the picture
Yeah,
from the other
you got the
side
other
of
side."
the dog with their little face through the door." And I said,
we
"No."
didn't. No, we don't have it.
So that day, I phoned up our buddy Doug Bilbia.
Who owns the doggy?
He's still down near Caledonia in Ontario. He still has got this beautiful house, this beautiful farm down there. And I said, Doug, is Sadie still alive? Because it was 7 years later or something. He says, yeah, she's doing fine. I said, I'm coming down tomorrow.
Oh my goodness!
So the picture on the back with the head showing the
And it-
face is 7 years after the cover.
That's funny.
Isn't that something?
That's something here. Now I can't help but notice the producer's last name is Richardson.
Yeah, on
okay?
this
well,
track.
every song. If you look at the mixers, there's 7 different
Yeah.
in 10
Oh, mixed
songs.
by Garth Richardson. Sorry,
No,
yeah.
we produced
You
it.
produced it. He
We did
mixed
it
it.
with our recording engineer
Chris Snow.
Chris Snow in a great
Various-
little studio.
Various studios and then his small.
But if you look to see, there's 7 different people mixing songs.
Yeah.
One of which is Bob Ezrin.
I see that Circle of Friends, man.
Yeah,
If he
yeah.
only does songs you do that are 2 songs glued together.
that was kind of the
It seems that
vibe,
way,
yeah.
right.
That's a prerequisite for
with
Bob
Bob.
Ezrin
But
to mix your stuff.
He did the first mix, and so all the rest of the album sort of had to sound as good as Bob Ezrin's mix.
And so Garth Richardson, who mixed Nowhere to Go But Gone, is Jack Richardson's son.
That's where I was going with that. Yeah.
And so he's worked with Rage Against the Machine and all kinds of other
And
bands.
even Chris Snow, hearing that name, Bare Naked Ladies.
He's worked with these
Arkells.
really well. Yes.
So wait, thank you. First of all, thank you. I
Oh,
love
you're
to put
very
these.
welcome. Yeah, have a listen to it.
Move
It's
over,
very-
Junk House. I'm putting.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
7 in front. Yeah, that's right. 7 Junkhouse's face. That old dog there.
There's another guy all over this hip. Yeah, that's right. Another guy all over this hip documentary. Tom Wilson, the unofficial mayor of Hamilton, all over the hip documentary. But that song, that song sounds great. So. You mentioned Cancun. Like, if I didn't want to leave the country, will I see the Kings anytime soon?
Well, you brought up our friend Ed Sousa earlier.
Yeah, okay.
It did.
And And
Yeah.
Ed is.
And you didn't see that, by the way. That was an organic mention of Ed Souza.
No, it was. He's
the
a
plan.
tireless promoter and lover of Canadian music.
Yes.
And he.
But only if it's from the 80s.
Well,
He
yeah.
told me that.
Oh, is that right? Oh,
In
I
fact,
didn't know that.
Bare Naked Ladies he hates because I guess they're the cusp. But anything from the 90s he has no interest in.
Well,
Oh, really?
but anyway, he's certainly.
Moving on.
Don't want to say about that.
That's.
That's between you and Ed.
But he's he. I don't know. He owns or manages this bowling alley.
Yep.
Classic Bowl,
Classic Bowl.
in Mississauga, Ontario.
Manages.
When I first heard that there was rock bands being played in the bowling alley, I'm going, huh?
Yeah.
Well, it seems to be working.
But once a year, he puts on a big concert for charity in his bowling alley, which is a huge place. And it's a 3-day event, I think, every
Yeah,
spring.
for Ronald McDonald House.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
and he's
right.
raised a lot of money. They fit like 1,000 people in there watching these great bands. Honeymoon Suite have done it, I think, every year. And we did it a couple times, and
We're doing it again.
With the box,
Amazing.
The box did it, and Harlequin, and
Lee Aaron, maybe? I'm trying to think of who I've seen on
she
these
might have.
things.
I saw Saga there last time,
Yeah.
and that's too bad about Mike Sadler too. Hopefully, he's going to recover from his operation. God bless him.
But we'll be playing there. Yes, we are going to be playing there. On,
We're playing the smaller room off the bowling alley because they have the big in the bowling alley concert
which
every
we
spring.
played. But we're playing this smaller.
Called the Heineken Stage, and
Heineken.
we're playing there November 28th.
Heineken's good too.
November
Not as good as this
That's
beer.
a
This
sun-
beer here is really
Heineken,
good.
you know, take it back to Amsterdam, okay? We've
Yeah,
got
this is
Great Lakes
delicious
here from
right
Southern
here. It's
Italy.
Well, you better tell Ed to do something about it.
Let's get this.
Ed Ed doesn't drink. You know this. Ed won't
Yeah,
drink
no,
any
no,
alcohol.
no.
So
Well, I
he
do, so-
I don't know what he did with his Great Lakes beer I gave him, but he didn't consume any himself. But that's his loss.
You better leave it for me then at the dressing room.
We'll
Well, I'm
take
gonna
up
tell
the
him.
slack for him, okay?
Have a look at me and Todd.
But he's a good
Todd and I
guy.
are
He
pretty-
actually, so I had Midge Year on the show, and I got to see him at the Elma Combo, and that was for Ed's birthday. Like this guy threw himself like a 60th birthday party and had Midge Year and Chalk Circle play.
Yeah, no,
Oh, yeah.
he's
All right, I
he's
didn't know
incredible.
Yeah, I
That's
was
cool.
there.
And he's
Really?
expanding. He's doing shows in Burlington now too. I think at the Performing Arts Center, and he does the Elmo, and he does
Wow.
he's a great.
He knows his
he's an
stuff.
He just
impresario. is
loves
what
his, he loves CFNY. He told me that I got the whole origin story when he came over, but he was a huge CFNY fan, and a lot of these bands, well, not all, because CFNY wasn't playing Honeymoon Suite, so it doesn't mean you have to. Be,
Is that right?
no way.
And I think the
He's a
only
Q
version
band.
of Switching the Glide
I was just gonna say that.
was the demo. I think that's the only one you just played.
Would David Marsden be responsible?
right,
Because
exactly.
he's here next week.
Oh, is he? Oh my!
And it's been a
Ask
while
him.
since he was here, actually.
No, Q played the Bob Ezrin version. He only played the original because
Well,
he
that's
didn't like
Marsden
he
for
didn't
you.
like it going out of the.
Mars Bar was at Chum FM maybe when you guys were winning that contest. Was he still there? I'm trying
I
to
don't
think.
know. Larry Wilson was the
Larry
guy.
Wilson was the big DJ then.
Yeah, which was kind of like meeting, the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, yeah.
'Cause
Because you hear this big voice
you hear the
like
big
this, and
voice.
then you look at
Well,
him. he
Brian
just-
Master, was he there? I'm trying to think of these
I
Chum
think he
FM
was
guys.
still,
But okay.
But
And-
Larry was there, and you meet him, and he's 5'2", and
yeah, smoked like he stunk of cigarettes.
You know, that's a phenomenon where because before we ever saw these guys in TV ads or internet and
That's
stuff,
right.
you hear the voice and you picture them in your mind,
Yeah,
right? And
here's
they
a
all
big,
look
huge
kind of
guy.
like. I think Tom Rivers looked like a Tom Rivers to me, but I will say most of these DJs, because I got in the calendar, I see coming up is John Donaby. Okay, he's been everywhere in this city on the radio, and I got to say the picture of John Donaby based on his voice, because it's the second time he's been here. But when he was at the door, I'm like, oh, where's John?
oh yeah,
It's like, where's John? It's like, and then I hear his voice. I'm like, oh, you're John. And it's like, yeah, you don't know. You can't tell. You can't tell. But gentlemen, I got to say this. TheKingsAreHere.com. If you're listening to us right now, get your ass over there and buy some merch, buy some stuff, and get this new album. That song we played, I got to ask you, who wrote the lyrics? You wrote the lyrics,
Yeah,
Z?
I wrote
See,
the
I'm calling you
music,
Z
yeah.
now.
love it.
You name checked Vancouver in the lyrics. Is that because Vancouver was jealous that you name checked Toronto?
Well, maybe. I think it was just.
Only because we've
You
driven
owed
out
him
there.
one.
We've driven to the end of the highway. I think I took a picture of Zero at the 0 miles on the.
There's a Terry Fox
Trans-Canada.
statue there.
Oh,
At
that's
the
in
very,
Thunder
very
Bay.
end.
That's in
there's one at
Victoria.
either
That's
end.
I'm thinking of Victoria.
Yeah, but there's one at either end of the
Okay.
country, and I got him at mile 0 that way, old Victoria. I think.
Perfect.
But I just thought, well, the highway kind of ends in Victoria, but it didn't scan right because
No.
Vancouver's 3 syllables.
You
and
go there and then you
Victoria's
come
4
back and then you head south. That's right.
And then you go south to LA. But do you guys surf? You have any surfing?
I
know
got
there's
some
a-
on my shirt. I got a some surfwear. See that thing? That's pretty cool. This is our new upcoming T-shirt.
Yeah,
It
you've
says-
got to check out on our YouTube channel, The Kings Are Here, the video for Nowhere to Go But Gone, and also the video for...
Always Off the Deep End is the other way. With our bubbleheads, the bobbleheads. I
Love
call
it
them
so
the
much. And again,
bubbleheads.
shout out to Todd Reynolds, of course, who's been your drummer since 2007.
Yeah,
So
he's the new guy.
He's
yeah.
the new guy. I know, but other than Todd Reynolds on this new album, you got Mr. Zero, okay, the man in the basement right now. You have the great, the legend, David Diamond.
That's me. Yes, thank you.
And of course, not here because he's probably in British Columbia.
Sonny Keys.
Sonny Keys. We know when you're born with a name like Sonny Keys, you have to be on the keys, right? That's how
Right,
it
that's right. That's his real name.
says Mr. Diamond. Okay. Guys, first of all, this was amazing, but I want to congratulate you because you guys are in the Canadian Songwriter Hall of Fame.
We are. Yes, we are. We're very
Well
proud
deserved.
of that. Very proud of that.
That's maybe the thing we're most proud of.
Did they give you like a pin or something?
Actually,
they spelled our name. Well, no, they spelled the name of the song wrong on the display in Calgary. It said "The Beat Goes On," which is the Sonny
been
and Cher
fixed.
song.
It's been fixed.
It's been fixed, but now it's this beat. So we got that was our pin.
So Canadian, come on.
So Canadian. Yeah, you have one job, right?
But congratulations, well deserved.
you so
and I gotta
much,
say,
Mike.
ever since I was that photo of me and Sandy was gonna be on my. I was gonna print it and put it on my studio table, but some asshole photobombed
You have
it.
to do something like that Seinfeld episode where you erase the thing in the middle and put a cartoon or something.
I'm like, who is this asshole, Rob? I mean, I'm like, Rob, this Mr. Zero guy, he's an asshole, right? Rob's like, I think he's a good
Oh,
guy.
yeah, that's why we
I'm like,
call him Zero. That's how he got his name.
That's right.
Zero respect. But thank you guys so much for doing this, man. That was a 90-minute thorough deep dive into you guys.
That's
and
great.
you're not a one-hit wonder because as far as I'm concerned, that new jam we just played, that's a hit, man.
Well,
That's
thank
a
you
hit
so
right
much.
there.
It is. We love our new album, and we hope you do too.
Well, you got nowhere to go but gone, right?
That's right.
Shout out to Ridley Funeral Home when that happened.
Aw, that's quite
That's not going to happen. Come on. And I'm goofing on you guys. And that brings us to the end of our 1,554th show. You can follow me. Go to torontomike.com to follow me, but go to thekingsArehere.com
Yeah.
for all your Kings. Do you care if it's Kings or the Kings? You gotta.
You can call it whatever you want. We are happy that we're to be here. And hello, everybody, and goodbye, everybody.
Much love to all who made this possible. Again, that's Great Lakes Brewery. You guys are taking some beer home again.
Thank you. This is delicious.
Palma
Have another.
pasta. I'm not joking, man. In my freezer, these red boxes are empty now, but I'm going to put frozen lasagna in there before you head back to Burlington.
Could use that. Awesome.
Or Oakville or wherever the hell you're going. Okay.
I go to Burlington.
Shout out to Burlington. And happy birthday to Rob Bruce.
Yes.
Yeah,
Happy
Rob,
birthday,
buddy.
Rob. Woohoo.
Burlington
An
Rob.
incredible musician in his own self.
I'll say.
Absolutely. He's a prodigy, man. He was in the Spoons when he was like 15 years old.
He was too good looking. That's why they.
Too good looking and too young for
Great
those
hair,
bars.
too.
He's got great hair. RecycleMyElectronics.ca, Raymond James Canada, and of course Ridley Funeral Home. These measuring tapes are for you guys.
Oh, I was wondering. I thought
Courtesy of Ridley Funeral Home.
you're sizing us up here.
Well, measure what you wish. I don't need to know. Okay, that's between you and your God, okay?
Sounds like these sound like this.
6 feet under.
That's right. There's 7 feet.
6 Feet Under is a great show, man.
Oh, there's 6 inches. See that? See, look at that.
Hey now. On that note, see you all later this week when my special guest is Joel Greenberg. If you don't know the name, you got to hear this episode. This is a very special man. Tune in for Joel Greenberg's Toronto Mike debut. See you all then.
Maybe I'm not, and maybe I am. I guess I am because everything is coming up rosy and green. Yeah, the wind is cold, but the smell of snow warms me today. And your smile is fine, and it's just like mine, and it won't go away. 'Cause everything is rosy and gray. Well, I've liquor.